Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm be reacting to Sadhguru speaks about Greta Thunberg and climate activism. I just had to. It showed up at the end of the last one, so I had to. I'm curious as to what he thinks about this. So, I don't know. Climate change has always been happening even before human times. We clearly went to an ice age and then back and forth between hot and cold. Now I do agree that we are probably making it a lot hotter, and trust me, 1 degree probably does in fact make a big difference. We do need to make changes, obviously, but the problem is that we don't. The problem is with these activisms, they want it now, but there's no solution they provide, and sometimes the solution they provide are just doesn't make much sense, and you can't force these companies to make such a drastic change, especially if it's very not cost effective. The problem, and also another problem, is this: some of these activist people are quite rich, or should I say, the middle upper class, and what ends up happening is they don't think about how these changes will affect the poor, or those people who are poorer than them. The poor tends to suffer the most with a lot of changes or pushes towards something, because if I mean, all businesses can push for these high climate friendly stuff, but the problem is the cost goes way up and the poor people can't afford it. Most people probably can't afford it, but these activists, like, nope, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive, but they can't afford it. And that's the problem. They can only think about things that's around them. When you're growing up with all these people with rich big houses and 50 cars or something, I don't know how many cars they have, probably like 4, and just like fancy neighborhoods, and they see like, oh, this is so wonderful. They can't see past, how do I say this? They can't see past their own life. They can't see past what's in front of them. I like that a lot better. And what's in front of them is what they see when they go about their daily lives. They don't go into poor neighborhoods. It's like, oh, that's rough, that's bad neighborhood, because someone lost $5 or something. I don't know. I could only imagine what's a rough life for them whenever their macchiato doesn't get enough ice cubes in it or something. I don't know. I'm gonna keep using that macchiato joke because of my boss. But yes, the roughest things about them is the fact they didn't get something on their birthday, or they didn't get a text back from their friends or something. I'm pretty sure that's like the roughest day of their life. They have no idea what rough is, and these are generally the people who are pushing for these changes because they want to be special or something. Anyway, let's get started. I talked too much already.
Without involving democratically elected governments of the day, you are not going to find a solution. When we are not willing to do it and we just want the government to pull out some magic wand and create a solution, no.
Sorry, pausing it again. And this is the thing why I fear it's so easy to give government power, and it's nearly impossible to remove that power. And like right now, I've watched a few memes from YouTube about there's the Patriot Act, I believe, in which is basically gives the right for the government, the federal government, not the state government, the federal government, the big government, to kind of spy on your texts and phone calls. They did that because of 9/11, and now they're renewing the bill. Apparently, they keep renewing that bill, even though people want that removed. Nope, they're going to continue to renew. That's what I've heard anyway. And I wouldn't doubt that. That it's being true, that they probably will never ever remove that power. It's once you give government power, it's very difficult to get rid of it. That's the reason why I do believe we need to be cautious about what we start implementing in terms of laws and stuff. We, the people, need to make these changes without government being involved, because if government has to be involved, then they have to implement laws. And then once they get that power of that law, it's almost impossible to remove it, if need be, too.
Sadhguru, the cause of environment, why so that right now is under the focus for good or bad reason. This whole United Nations thing, which recently happened with that 16-year-old girl trying to make a point, or and then of course there are two sides to it, and everyone seems to be making their point. Is there a view that you?
See, I'm not trying to approve or disapprove anybody, but I personally don't believe in simply accusing people.
Yes, yes. The best way to get people to do something for you is to accuse them of something and blame them for something. I didn't watch the thing. I should watch it, honestly, to give her a fair chance. But the thing that keeps popping out from that meme is, how dare you? She's blaming people. Like, are you serious? That's the left. And I'm pretty sure she's on the left, and a lot of people on the left follow this point of view. Is they generally have good ideas or good problems, good concerns to stuff. It's just their presentation is quite terrible.
Because solutions will not come out of this. This I learned long time ago. When I was 16 years old, I was angry with everything in the universe, all right? I was angry with the political system, social systems, family situations, religion, caste and creed, injustice that's happening. I was angry with everything. But then I realized at a certain point that you can produce much more results in the world with acceptance and appreciation rather than simply toxic criticism. This I realized long time ago, and I will not go back because I have seen that. I've seen that within myself.
Yeah, I've learned this whenever I've kind of learned this a little bit a few years after this my world religion class, where I learned about Buddhism, a little bit of Buddhism. The things that stuck to me is that the world is suffering, and to give 110% but expect nothing from it. That has eased the suffering in my life. To realize that don't expect anything from anything that you do. That actually helped for some weird reason. It's not to say that you don't care about something, but it's to give it 100%, but don't expect much from it. And if it does give you what you want, that's great. If it doesn't, then you weren't expecting it. And I love that phrase. I've always used it ever since I learned it from that class.
What damage it caused to me and everybody around me, being angry all the time about something. So, I think a child of 16 years, we truly appreciate her concern. I'm sure many millions of children and adults are concerned. Well, she's talking and she's making a statement, it's fine. But whoever is nurturing her, they should not nurture her towards anger. It is important that all of us get together and find a solution, because if we want a solution without involving democratically elected governments of the day, you are not going to find a solution. You can burn yourself with anger, there will be no solution.
Which is what these global forums are supposed to do, but then the contrary point is that there's a lot of talk but little action.
See, it is true, there's a lot more talk than action. Isn't that the way you have chosen? Democracy means, see, you're in the media, you like to talk. If you don't let you talk, even if you're eating well, if you're not allowed to talk, you say there's no freedom of speech and make big fuss about it. So naturally there'll be more talk than action.
Talk is cheap and easy.
Does it mean to say there's no action? No, India has taken huge steps towards energy, making sustainable energy and all this stuff. For a country like India, it's mega steps. Well, is every country doing what it needs to do? Maybe not. It is not doing, I know that. But people who live in those countries, are they willing to make the sacrifices? Is it just political leaders? I don't think so. People are not willing to make any sacrifice.
That's true.
If you ask everybody in Delhi to walk one day to their office, will they? No. Then how come you say pollution? Something you must do, right? I'm not saying everybody should walk, I'm saying in some way what we want the government to do, the fallout of that, we must be willing to swallow that, isn't it? In some way. When we are not willing to do it and we just want the government to pull out some magic wand and create a solution, no. This is why I engage the farmer, I engage the government, and now I'm trying to engage the civil society.
Would you given a choice advice, because this government and this political leadership is enjoying a kind of support that's not been seen before on an international platform, is there a certain further advice that you'd want to give them to let the world know that India is taking big leaps and steps?
I think they've made those steps very strong in the Water Week. Just now, Jal Shakti Minister was here. In the Water Week in Stockholm, they made a clear statement what they're doing. They are doing. But do you think the pressure pressure of population on this land and this government is small? The way we're multiplying? So right now, if Jal Shakti ministry, let's say it's not there, it's not in their prerogative to do that, let us say, this is the amount of water, so by 2030 you must reduce your population to this much, so don't have children for 5 years voluntarily. Will you do it? Then how? When you are the problem and you want somebody else to find the solution, how? The only problem you have in the world, and especially in India, we think there are many problems. No, there are many problems. There's only one problem, population, all right? If…
Sorry, I want to go back to what he said about about people not willing to make the sacrifices real quick. That is kind of true too. Again, a lot of these people push these political statements and these things that they want, but they want to make sure it doesn't affect them either. Again, and if it affects them, not so much so, but what they don't realize, again, it affects the poor the most. It's quite drastic. They just, again, they can't see in front of they can't see what's in front of them, even at that.
you don't cap that consciously, and nature will do it to you in a very cruel manner. You're waiting for it to happen.
Oh, good Lord, that was what? I didn't think that was the end. The rest. I guess that is it. Let's end with the only problem you have in the world. Yeah, you know, I did think about a few things he said. Again, in a video, if you want to end right here, it's fine. I'm gonna be talking. So, yeah, there's a few things he said in other videos. He's talking about how the human population needs to be under control. And this goes back to my thoughts about abortion. I used to be pro-abortion, and now I'm kind of like in the middle. Like, I'm not sure, because it depends on how you look at the human fetus, and that's a mess on its own. While I was pro-abortion because, you know, because of what China was doing, the single child law. Basically, the government was forcing people to have, I guess I shouldn't be saying that word too much because of Google, but you know, forcing people to have that, and when they have more than one child. And I was like, well, I don't want the government to force people to do that. That's why I want that as an option for people who choose to have it, so that people who don't want to have it don't have to do it. And it's really weird, because I was kind of going back on my proness of that, because it's like, man, but do you consider the fetus a human life? And if you do, then being pro that is basically you're killing a life. And then to see Sadhguru saying, yes, I'm pro this, I'm like, holy crap, why is Sadhguru pro this? I'm like, ah, oh, man. And then when he made a very good point. Absolutely, when we see animals or things in nature kind of go out of control, you know, they permit hunting and stuff to hunt for those things, so that they keep the population under control. I think there are even some like invasive species where the government will pay you to hunt for these things to get rid of them, because there's, I think, no natural predators for those things, so they just go rampant and start destroying the natural habitats there. So I mean, we spread through many different continents, and yeah, we're not trying to pull back, you know, we're still spreading like crazy. So it's kind of weird that we invasive species, like we hunt the invasive species, but we don't do that to ourselves. Obviously we don't, that's kind of weird, but we don't, you know, try to find a way to kind of pull back a little bit in terms of reproduction. But yeah, I don't think we necessarily need to say stop having babies. I think saying 2 maximum is good, because having 2 maximum per family couple will basically, if they have 2, then they just, if whenever the father and mother dies, the child basically just replace them, so the population doesn't increase or decrease. And plus, you know, not every child survives, and not everyone lives long enough to have babies because of things in the world. So by saying they have maximum of 2, the population will either stay steady or decrease. By having 1, you're gonna decrease the population. And again, and for some weird reason, at least last I've heard, Japan and I think maybe even South Korea is actually decreasing in population. And I guess the thing that I like to learn is humans. I mean us. The human, how to say, interaction, I suppose. Why humans do certain things. Basically, Sadhguru, I remember in his audiobook that I was reading, was it not karma, but inner engineering. He looked at a leaf and would study that very a long time. We just sit there and look at the leaf. While me, it's a little bit different. I observe and hear humans, how they act, how they talk, and by watching videos, by watching people in my work and interacting with them. And where was I going with that one? I went so far, but yeah, that's my thing, and yeah, I have no idea where I was going with that one. I forgot my train of thought. But anyways, I like to learn about humans, how to act, and basically by learning about them, I get to basically understand them and also understand how other people interact as well. But again, yeah, if you keep it to one, I'm sorry, I know where I was at now. And I think because of Japan and South Korea, I think because women have a lot of freedom. I mean, they have equal freedoms to males there, and I think it's the culture mostly, and a little bit also in the United States, where I think women want to pursue careers, and what they end up doing is they end up pursuing the career to the point where they get too old, where they either can't have baby because, or have trouble having babies because they're much older, or they end up forgetting about that part of life, and then they finally become successful, and they say, now I want to start a family, and they're like, oh crap, I'm 50 now, or something like that, you know. They and or maybe even some of them just want a focused career and don't want a family. It's kind of weird and interesting. But anyways, that was way off topic. But yes, there's cultures out there that the population is decreasing. Japan and South Korea, I believe. The United States, I do believe the white people. That's weird to say. I don't think they're having like just one or two babies, and the population of the white people in America is dropping. Plus, they're also interbreeding, so the pure white people, that being Western European in general, not necessarily just like our one race that's called white. But anyways, yeah. I don't know, you guys in India, jeez, Louise, your teen population is the population of the United States. It makes me wonder about my birth country. I know my family over there is massive too. I think my grandmother and grandfather's side on my grandfather and grandmother on my mother's side had 18. they're like bunny rabbits, and but I am the only child on my mother's side, from my mother and my family. Then her sister had 1, 2, 3. And then the older brother had 4. So it's freaking massive reproduction going on. Anyway, it's way off topic. Anyway, that's my reaction to Sadhguru speaks about Greta Thunberg and climate activism. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.